Hi everyone, I'm Sonia Singh, the artist behind Tree Change Dolls. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about my process of repainting my dolls' faces. I've had a lot of requests for a tutorial on the actual painting. Now my tutorial is going to be mostly some tips and ideas because it is not a straightforward step-by-step process. Each doll I repaint I will do in a slightly different way. There are other videos out there if you just do a YouTube search of other people repainting dolls' faces, because I did not invent the idea of repainting a doll's face. It was out there before me. Okay, but I'm going to first show you what materials I use. So a lot of people ask what kind of paints I use, and I have been using the Jo Sonja's Artist Colour range. Now the reason I chose these is because I already had them. I've got a range of different paints, and as an illustrator I know that a lot of illustrators do use these Jo Sonja's paints as an acrylic gouache. They stick to pretty much any surface and they are artist quality. The website also says they are non-toxic as well, so I use those and they work really well and I'm used to using them. Now I mix all my own colours, I guess. So I just started with the basics, black and white, and the three primary colours, yellow, blue, and I use a pinky magenta kind of red. Now I have also included, since I started doing dolls' faces, I've got a darker brown and a pale skin tone base, it's called, which makes it easy to mix some of those natural colours I'm going for. So those are the colours that I mostly use, and as you can see here, my palette is actually just an old used takeaway container. Now I use the actual container as my paint bowl and I put my paints on the lid. When I've finished, I tip the water out and put the lid on. The droplets of water still in there because it's damp. When I seal that lid, it means the paints actually don't dry out too quickly, so it will stay usable for the rest of the day anyway, if I want to take a break. Okay, now I've got a range of different dolls here just to show you that when it comes to repainting the doll, I use different shapes of eyes. I repaint different dolls as well, not just one particular make of doll or one particular face shape. So as you can see just from these examples, some of the eyes are bigger, some of them are more almond shaped. Some of the lips are different, some have teeth showing. I try and make them all natural but show some variation and make each a unique little individual. Alright, so first of all I'll show you how I might start painting a doll. So I'm going to use this one here. Now what you can do if you're unsure how to get started, and I sometimes do this but not always, is use a very sharp pencil to just very, very lightly sketch where you might like your doll's eyes to go. So especially just the corners of the eyes, and so that you can get them sort of even on both sides before you start. So as I said, I don't always do this, I just sometimes do this, and because I'm right-handed I do often turn a doll upside down to copy the eye onto the other side. Now that helps you give you a little bit of an idea of what it might look like and helps you get it even on both sides. So maybe just sketch in the eyebrows, especially where they might start and finish. So I'm doing this really quickly because normally I would spend a lot more time on this and I wouldn't be talking as well, so just be aware that I'm kind of speeding this up. Alright, so once that's done, I'm going to mix a white colour to do the whites of the eyes. Now, I don't always do the whites of the eyes first. Sometimes I might start with the irises. As I said earlier, there's no rules, there's no one way of doing this. Now, I find that to give a more natural look, I don't use pure white, so I will mix a little tiny bit of black and a tiny bit of yellow in to do the whites of the eyes, just so that it's not pure white, because if you look at real people, the whites of our eyes are not pure white. So that's what I do with all the colours. I don't often use the pure colours as they come out of the tube. I blend the colours to whatever shade that I might like. Now, you can see here I'm using an artist brush. I'm not quite sure exactly what type it is, but it's size 0. So size 0 or even 00 is good. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the whites of this doll's eyes. Now, if the paint's a bit thick, I dilute it with a little bit of water. So the Jo Sonja's acrylic paints, yeah, they're water-based, so you wash them up with water. You can also dilute them with a little bit of water as well, especially as they start to dry out, because they dry fairly quickly. Okay, so I turn the doll upside down usually to do the second eye, just because I'm right-handed, and that way I can look at the other eye as I'm doing it. Okay, and try and get it about the same. If it's not exactly the same, well, you know, nobody has a perfectly symmetrical face anyway. So it all becomes part of the doll's little character in the end. Alright. Okay, and then I'll just wash my brush. Okay. Now, while I wait for that to dry, I'll just show you another doll that I've got started with. So I've painted the whites of the eyes. I've also painted black circles on top for her irises, and I've also painted a pale pink colour for her mouth. Alright, so I'll continue on with this one because this paint is dry, and I'm going to actually finish off her eyes. Alright, so I'm mixing a dark brown colour because she's got darkish brown hair. Alright. Now, as I was saying before, there is no one way to repaint each doll. And I would encourage you just to start painting and see what happens. And if you do make a mistake, then you can always remove the paint and start again. So see my other video of how to remove the paint from a doll's face. You can always remove the paint and start again. And I do that when I'm not happy with a doll's face. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to do a little crease above the eye as well. Now, I don't always do the crease above the eye, or sometimes I might do a different type of crease because we all have different eyes and our eyelids all fold differently. So I do try and make each doll individual. There we go. Alright, now because I've got that dark brown colour on the brush, I'm going to very carefully sort of sketch her eyebrows in as well at the same time. Again, I try and make each doll individual, and I like to sort of experiment with different types of eyebrows. And if I'm not sure, or I'm not feeling very inspired, then I do sometimes bring up some pictures of real people on my iPad and use that while I'm painting. Usually I use pictures of children and just have a look at the shapes of the eyebrows, shapes of their eyes, their noses, and the shapes of their smiles and their teeth. Just to make sure my dolls have a natural look and make sure I just don't get set in my ways and start always doing the eyebrows in a really similar fashion, because I do want them all to be different and individual. So now she's got some eyebrows, she's got her eyelids, and now I'm going to mix up a colour for her eyes. Okay, so I'm just going to use a bit of brown to paint her eyes. I'm doing this really quickly because I don't want this video to be too long. So normally I would spend a bit more time on this, but like I said, I just want people to get creative, and you figure out the best way that you might like to repaint dolls' faces, because everyone has their own style. There's no right and wrong when it comes to these kind of creative activities. Once you paint that little white dot in the eye, as I've just done, that's where the doll really comes to life. So even though I've finished those eyes off really quickly, as soon as you put that little white dot of light in the corner, that really brings the eyes out, and it looks as though she's just suddenly come alive. Now that's a really quick basic of just a few of my tips and paints I use. For more information about my tree change dolls, I am on, my shop is on Etsy, so when I have dolls available, they will be posted to my Etsy shop. You can find me on Facebook, so just search Tree Change Dolls. I'm also on Tumblr and Instagram and Twitter. And also I have a website in the works, which is www.treechangedolls.com.au. So that's not up yet, but it might be by the time you watch this video, I don't know. So anyway, more to come, but I hope you enjoyed this quick video and enjoy getting creative and repainting some of your own dolls. Thank you.